actually so satisfying. Okay, go on.
On?
Oh, that's so amazing. Oh, I love it. We can do ASMR. this is... I need to check if I have to do other things, but I think that's...
It's like a BBC radio show.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the traffic jam.
Oh my god. Now we're gonna listen to our favorite artist.
Top 5, please.
Wow.
Okay, you
What
can
does
go.
that mean?
It's just to synchronize the sound better with the camera. We never know. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first collaborative podcast with Erasmus Tech Community and Women's Business Network. I'm Alex, here with my co-host from the Women's Business Network, Fedra.
Hello.
Today, we're diving into a very interesting and important topic, how to bridge the gap for young women entering the tech industry. We know tech can sometimes feel intimidating or exclusive, but today's guests are here to share their journeys, insights, and tips to empower that next generation of women in this field. Let's start by introducing our amazing guests. We're thrilled to have two incredibly talented women from Microsoft with us today. First, we have Leire Erdoğan.
Thank you so much for having us here. I wish everyone present myself like that.
And joining her, we have Julie Van Loof, who is a security compliance and identity go-to manager. Julie, it's great to have you with us.
Yes, and thank you so much for inviting us. And I really love that you're making the effort to address this important topic.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming.
So our first question would be, can you each share your journey into the tech industry and tell us a bit more about what led you to your current roles at Microsoft?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, actually, it was, when I was young, it was for me very clear that I had three main interests, which was, first of all, IT. Second was really people and working with people. And the third part was business. So when I was really young, I was building these websites with my sister. I already loved tech. And then after that in high school, I also did some IT courses. So those took place in the basements.
Okay.
So traditional way,
Spooky.
sometimes people look at tech, right? And then after that, I completed high school and I thought, okay, I love this tech thing, right? So I want to go ahead and study AI. But when I applied and actually got accepted, they do this one thing, they do this test day. So you have to come in and you have like your classroom of peers you're going to be doing the studies with. And I got in and I was actually the only woman in the whole room.
Wow.
Yes. And, you know, there were like very young guys. I was also very young. Lots of people wear Minecraft shirts. I also have those. So, no.
That's kind of intimidating, no?
It is intimidating, exactly. And then what happened actually was that for me, studying for me was really like, hey, I want to go party. I want to meet new people. I want to learn, of course. But when I looked around, I thought like, I don't think I can convince these people to come to some parties with me. Not all of them.
But that was the initial impression, but throughout your studies, were you able to do that?
Well, actually, at that point, I decided, okay, I'm not going to do AI because I was very young, you know, when I finished high school. So I thought, okay, I also want to enjoy this. And then I decided to do organizational psychology as a bachelor. Then I did a master in business management. So actually, I still did all of those interests, right? Like, so I did people with psychology. I did business with my master. And then during those studies, I also made sure to do internships and working studentships.
To really specialize in what you were interested in.
Yeah, and do that at tech companies. So looking back, I'm really happy. It was not the typical road we took, right? I don't think people expect somebody who did psychology to become a cybersecurity manager, but I loved it in the end. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's really interesting. Thank you. And what about you, Leire?
Before I jump to mine, I actually want to reflect on what Julie said because I heard this story a couple of times, but I always like hearing it back. And I think that it's so nice to see that we finished in the same place, but we had such different starts, right? Because Julie was someone that had everything super clear. She had these three pillars. She went for it. Even if AI didn't work, she jumped to another thing that worked for her. And I, on the other hand, I was completely lost. I started about biology.
Oh.
bachelor.
Whoa,
Wow.
that's very different.
Right? Look at that. We finished in the same
Yeah,
place.
yeah,
and
true.
But yeah, when I started biology, I was convincing myself every day that this was the place to be for me. And I had to fit here because I chose it, right? So I had to fit. And I was surrounded of people that was extremely passionate about everything that they were doing. And I didn't like it. I actually hated it a bit. So I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I need a career change. So I started a bachelor in business administration and management development program. So it was completely different. And I really liked it. I really started exploring. In the third year, the curiosity to explore a bit the world knocked my door, and I went to Tilburg in the south of the Netherlands.
Okay.
For those who doesn't know what is Tilburg.
I actually applied there.
Really?
Yeah.
Same, actually.
It's a very small city in the south of the Netherlands, which, funny enough, they have the one of the best universities for international business. So that's one of the things that, of course, drew my attention. And then I kept going and going. I told to myself, okay, let's go to the next step. Let's move to the big city, Amsterdam. Let's do a master's in economics. And I needed an internship to graduate from that master's. And that really what made me go to Microsoft. I would love to tell you that it was, I don't know, the curiosity to see how technology was like solving real world problems, how it was like maybe improving efficiency or, I don't know, transforming business. But I didn't know that at that time. I only discovered this when I started working for Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
So at that time, I was just a person who loved biology at some point, then who changed to business administration. So this story is to tell you that there is not that typical path, like Julie was saying, right? There are so many routes you can take to go to the same place. And Julie and I are just one example, but you go to any organization inside or outside Microsoft and you see really those paths going left, right. There is not a real linear way to succession.
And I do feel like it's also a call for younger students to actually do what they want to do and to push themselves to their limits to really like go for what they want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what education you did, where you come from. I mean, if you really want to do something, I absolutely believe you'll get there.
That's true. I also agree. I also agree.
And other than the internship that you just mentioned, did you guys do anything else to kind of elevate your career, maybe already in university or after university, to make this path towards Microsoft, well, a reality?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, networking. I
LinkedIn.
think, exactly, LinkedIn. But also, depending on where you are in your student phase, I think when you're going to choose a job, it feels like something really big, right? Like, oh my God, I'm making a decision for a lifetime.
So stressful.
That's not true. You can change the job in 2 years, in 3 years, or 4 years. So I think definitely make sure you build the right experience beforehand, but also don't be afraid to just try something. See if you like it.
Exactly. And don't overthink too much what is that you are applying for, right? Maybe it's not the perfect role, maybe it's not the perfect company, maybe you are not qualified to every single point that it's in the internship role description. Probably the answer of those questions is no, you are not qualified, it's not your dream job, it's not your dream company. But what's worst case scenario? That you don't like the company and you spend 6 months understanding what you don't like, that it's exactly same important of
true.
understanding what you like, right?
Yeah.
So just find your way in, meet people, network.
It's like
Be
setting
curious.
your expectations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
And well, in terms of the tech industry, it's, well, often it's male dominated. We talked about this earlier as well before the podcast. So what were some of the main challenges that you guys faced when
Concerning
entering the tech industry?
I can take that one first. So actually, I could give you some personal examples that maybe show those challenges that we faced in the industry. And where I really want to focus is not in those personal examples, but in the learnings of those examples, right? So I often feel that women are viewed through a gender lens rather than judged only for the performance. So, and I had it this in past, and I'm sure that you also had it, Julie, you also had it. There are countless of comments about clothing or about appearance first rather than performance, right? And it's not only related to that, but I read in an article this week, for example, that women feel 33 more pressure than men to succeed because they are more focused on their studies, at work, not disappointing their family, being physically attractive. And the study mentioned how this tendency for women to focus on everyone being okay, caring about everyone in their environment, and men instead focusing on themselves and in their professional careers. And of course, I'm giving you a very general role. There are men, there are women that are different, but this is just a study that I was pointing that out, right? So if you think about these 2 points that I shared, it is a challenge. It is a context where you as a woman face a challenge, right? And you need to build that confidence, and you need to make your voice heard in the meetings, in the project. So that is, of course, already something that you need to jump. And I think that seeing this context, seeing these challenges, it motivated me to have more determination, to be more passionate about looking for those inclusive and diverse work environments, right? And I guess that the learning here is that we need to move away from those established gender roles, how we establish that a woman cannot be determined in domains that maybe they don't fit to her, that we need to take risks and we need to do mistakes in situations that maybe we are the only women in the room. And it doesn't matter. Men do also, right? We need to deal with adverse situations where you are the only woman in the room, and you need to show that ambition and determination still, right? And also, you need to feel relaxed at work. It doesn't need every situation at work. It doesn't have to be that you are
stressed
and exactly that you need to, I don't know, support your ideas like with really conviction and fight and determination. No, you can also be relaxed and not come across like a non-professional person. At the same time, you can defend your ideas and conviction and not come across aggressive. So I think the learning here is that we need to move a bit away from those established gender roles. I'm not sure what you think, Julia, about that.
No, what you said, I think I really recognize this, right? Like comments about clothes or what you're looking like. And actually, I had one example where I was with a customer, and the customer told me like, "Wow, you are so handsome and beautiful." And I was like, I would never ever in a customer conversation say like, "Oh, let's have a conversation together about technology, how we can support your organization," and then tell whoever's in front of me, male or female, right, say like, "Oh, you're so handsome and beautiful." And it was so absolutely strange. And I think it's really important to raise your voice at those moments, but it's also challenging, right? And
Exactly.
I think
how to raise your voice in that kind of situation.
And I think it takes time as well, right, to build the backbone to get there. So I really recognize that. And also reflecting on the question, I really love working in tech because I do believe it's very diverse and inclusive. Not when it comes to a woman and man, but really you can come as you are, no matter where you're from, what language you speak. I think that's really great. And tech industry is working really hard to, get more women into the field, but it's tough. And I think that has some consequences at times. And I think one personal example for me was that I've also gotten comments from people like, "Hey, did you land that job because you're so good? Or did you land that job because in that team there were just no women at all? So were you a diversity hire, right?"
Exactly.
And
Are you a quota woman?
Exactly. And I think what happened to me then at that sense was I also became biased because I at that point realized often I get these invites to become like a keynote speaker at security events, this kind of stuff. And then I wondered at some point, like, "Oh, are they asking me because they think I'm good? Or are they asking me because they need a female speaker because there's literally no female in the field," right? So I think in that sense, both women and men also need to be conscious of these biases and really be strong in sharing your voice and also finding somebody to support you. I think Larry is one of those people for me, to call each other and say like, "Hey, I had this situation. What should I do? Did I handle it well?" So find that person also when you get into your career.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, and I did a little bit of research on you actually, and well, you kind of proved your haters wrong, so said, because well, congratulations on being awarded the Microsoft Champion Award for Exceptional Business Impact. That is an incredible achievement, considering you did it only in the first 9 months on the job. Can you kind of share a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, actually, that was a total surprise. So thank you, and I always get very uncomfortable when these questions are asked.
Oh, I have more.
But okay, bring them on. No, so I know. I think I'm a person who likes to do things 150%, and I always go above and beyond. And I was very lucky to get this award. It was not just me, it was a team effort. And, when you get into your career and you want to achieve these kind of results, continuously ask for feedback, because when you do that, you continue to learn and grow, and then you'll definitely be able to achieve that kind of things. And honestly, I'm just very grateful for getting that recognition.
And if I can comment on that, it was not lucky. She was not lucky.
She worked.
She worked hard, and it was determination and time and effort and everything. So you were not lucky. You really work hard. You
Yeah, I
say
can
it
imagine.
loud.
You're being very humble, because I also read that one of the colleagues you worked with described you as a talent of the level of Max Verstappen. And you don't need to be Dutch to understand how big of a praise that is. So.
500% real.
Okay, so now this I cannot handle more compliments now. Let's go on to later.
So now I have another question that is still related to your journey in the tech industry. It's more about the role models that you could have had during this journey. Did you have some female maybe role models or mentors who influenced your decision to pursue a career in this tech industry?
Absolutely. And I think for me, it was my mom. She's an extreme feminist. She owns her own company. She started it actually 2 years after she graduated university. And she has a big background, but she decided in her company she was going to put women first, and especially hire women who maybe had challenges to get jobs because maybe they became a parent at one point, they stopped working, they need to reintegrate, and then often it's really hard for these women to get a job after 10 years being out of the field. So she's big inspiration for me, because she really taught me like raising my voice, always going above and beyond what you do, and then challenging yourself when you catch yourself thinking, oh, is this something I can do? Just try it. And maybe you'll feel miserably, but at least you tried and you're going to learn something from it, right?
True.
Yeah.
And
So-
then, yeah?
Sorry.
No,
So she taught you to have that backbone from a very early age.
exactly. She taught me from a very early age. And then one example I really love, which happened recently, was her company won an award. And then during her speech, when you get this award, the whole jury was actually only men. And then in her speech, she said, like, listen, this needs to change. You need to put a woman on this jury. And then they put her as part of that jury. So she never stops doing these things. And I love that. So that's one thing. And the last thing, and then I really shut up, is that she told me, if somebody opens the door for you, and for me, that was my first manager at Microsoft, she really gave me this role. She gave me the opportunity, and she was a woman. And make sure at one point in your career or in your student life, you give that opportunity to another person. So you open the door for someone else. So we continue to help each other.
Yeah, it's not just about yourself, it's also about which impact you could have on others.
Exactly.
For the next generation, yeah.
Yeah.
And Lyra, could you mention, did you have any female role models that you look
Yes.
up to?
I think this was the easiest question to reply, to be honest. Also my mom. Go moms. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
And I think building on what Julie said, it looks that we were both really fortunate and incredibly lucky to have our mom as our very first role model since very early days, since we came to the world basically, right? 2 women that, I know for your story, that have always advocated for equality in every single environment that they were, right? So that seed that they planted on us from the very beginning only grew, and now we are trying to do what basically our moms taught us. And especially regarding my mom, so picture this to give you a bit of context. It's the late 70s, early 80s in the Basque Country in the north of Spain. And to give you a bit of a socio-political situation, Francisco Franco, the dictator that was ruling the country for 40 years, died in 1975. So basically my mom was 17 then. So she entered that university. She wanted to be a marine biology, to be really specific. And she went to the south of Spain, which at that time was really far from home. It was like more than 12 hours driving. And she just jumped in everything that caught her attention. It didn't matter what it was. She wanted to enter in a tuna, which is basically a traditional music group that originated in the Spanish universities, that it was only for men. She went there. She was traveling by herself. She wanted to be a marine biologist, so she started doing all these courses and learnings that you need to do to become one. And she was doing boat skipper and survival training at the sea and all these mandatory certifications for working in fishing vessels where, of course, she was the only woman. And not only she did all of that by herself, but in the end of the university, she started managing like a marine platform when she, of course, had to look after 20 people that was all men. So imagine like a really, really, really young woman. I think she was 31, 32, and she was ruling a completely huge boat full of Marines.
wow.
So that was a challenge at that time, and it's a challenge now as well, right? So she always told me that she didn't think too much about the risk of doing that. The excitement and really the desire of testing herself and testing that she was strong to do that and she could do it. Once again, that she was trying it and she was like, why not? So she jumped to it and she did it.
That's really beautiful.
So cool.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was not only like the task for her in that boat, it was not only management, right? It was really to achieve that leadership based on respect and based on equality. And of course, she faced a lot of challenges. Some older people definitely didn't accept her as captain. But she always told me that if you do it with perseverance, with empathy, with conviction, with determination, hard work, strength,
Passion.
everything that Julie was doing to get the Gold Award as well, it really prepares yourself to never stop learning, and it brings you closer and closer to who you really are, right? Like to yourself and who you want to be. And now she's a woman of 67 years old. She's going to be 67 this Friday. It's her birthday.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
And she's still a woman who never stops learning. Like she's about to retire and she keeps me asking every day questions about AI, about Copilot, about how she can use it at her work. And she's 67. Like, why would you learn it?
Amazing.
Because she's just passionate about it. Right?
It's incredible.
And what I really like about her now is that she still, what Julie was saying, she still open doors for the younger talents coming, right? So every circle that she's at work or not at work, she's always the first to support and encourage young women and men who want to really fulfill an ambition, and she's there to open the doors. So there was a long story to tell you that my mom is definitely my role model in that
That's
sense.
so beautiful, though.
She's
So
mine now too.
inspiring. Yeah.
Both of your mothers are very inspiring. We would love to have them on the podcast. for the
Yeah,
next
actually,
episode.
next time, let's give them the microphone.
But now also you guys, now that you've established your careers also in tech, you've kind of become mentors of yourself, right? You contribute to matters of diversity, inclusion, and gender equality. Could you elaborate on what exactly do you guys do to contribute towards those matters, and how do you help the younger generation, young women, to enter the tech industry?
Yeah, so I think I want to give 2 points of view there, actually. The first one is more, what are the actionable steps that a young woman can take to bridge the gap between business and tech? And the other one is more in general, right? Not in the industry, but what are the actions you can take to bridge the gap between women and men, like the gender gap, right? And the first one is what we were discussing before. I really encourage everyone to always look for a way in. It doesn't matter if it's an internship, if it's education, just test and try. If it's not 6 months internship, it can be another thing. Maybe you are not qualified, maybe this is not your dream role, this is not the company. But again, worst case scenario, if it's not a match, you finish the period of learning and you know what you don't want to do. But I think it's really important what also Julie was saying before. It's not only you, right? It goes beyond one person. So it's really important networking. It's really important that you talk to people, you join events, you propose coffees to people that you really find inspiring or to really find interesting. And again, worst case scenario, you have a no or you have a non-reply in LinkedIn and life goes on. You can keep on looking for more people. So surround yourself with people that, both women and men, by the way, who can improve who you are, who can respect your work, who can continuously educate yourself and educate themselves and learn.
Yeah, who are pushing you up rather
Exactly.
than dragging you down.
Exactly. So stay curious and continuous learning and surround your people of that type. And regarding the second point, it's really the one that I wanted to discuss, is how to bridge the gap between the genders in that sense. And I have a personal story here that I was telling Julie 2 days ago, and I think don't take the story, take the learning of the story. But around 2 years ago, I was coming back from a party with my friends at home in the metro, and I was with my girlfriends, but I was sitting in front of some boys that they were also my friends, of course. We grew up in the same city, we grew up in the same high school, we had basically the same education. I'm not sure how the conversation started, but one of them started mentioning how he did not believe in the gender gap, that he did not think how the pay gap was a thing, that he really believed how women and men were equally represented in every organization. And I could not believe that guy that went to the same school, grew up in the same village, and basically followed the same path until 18 was stating those things, right? And of course, my first reaction was to explode. Very mature of me. I was so angry, but desperate to explain him that he was so wrong, that it was not me saying it. It was like facts and data that could prove that, right? And when I went off the metro, I really was upset with myself, really thinking how something that is so logic to me and so easy for me to understand is so hard to explain for others, right? And it made me feel so helpless. I was like, why did I explode and why didn't I do what I had to do? And there are 10 minutes between the metro and my house. And in those 10 minutes, I was walking home, and I started doing a research of books that could help me explain all the ideas that I have in my mind, but in a good way, right? And I bought it. And of course, it was not the deepest book research of my life. Imagine at 3 o'clock in the morning going back home after a party. But I found this book that basically explains the feminist argument in data. And this is actually the title of the book, Your Feminist Argument in Data. And it's written by Julia Salander. And basically, it gives you 150 data points, one by one, explaining you how are calculated and everything, to help you back up the importance of building society of equality. So not so focused in one extreme or the other, how you can like back up the equality. And my message here, don't think about the story. My message here is going back to your question on what are the actionable steps that every person can take, is really to educate yourself, right? And my example is just one, but as the book says, a data point without 30 doesn't mean anything, and 30 without data is just propaganda. And I love that. Like, think about it. Data points without 30 doesn't mean anything, and a 30 without data points is propaganda. So look for those data points, look for context around it, cross-check different sources, investigate how these indicators have been calculated, and keep in mind that behind every number, of course, there is an ideological decision. But my message here is to really build your theories, your hypothesis, your point of view, and it's only then when you can share value, right? When you have the right mindset to bring decisions, you translate those decisions into actions, and those actions ultimately is going to bring results. So these are maybe very tech or business way of explaining a point of view.
That's
but
true,
it
though.
really helped me that, right?
And it can apply to literally anything in life.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh, that's very true. I agree with that.
Yeah, I love that, and actually, what I really like is that you reflected, right? But you came back to it, and I think we continue to learn how we address these things, and it becomes better and better every time.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
And I'm really curious. I know the story wasn't the point of the there was the motive, but did you end up bringing this up to your friend after you did your research, after you read the book?
So he actually texted me when I exploded, and he was like, let's have a coffee and discuss about the topic. And we discussed about the topic. So that was actually, so we were not we agreed to disagree, but he was bringing me his data points. I was bringing him my data points. And when I say data points, I say percentages, but also feelings and points of view, right? So even if I didn't convince him, my goal was not to convince him, to be honest, was to raise awareness, to educate. Maybe it's not the right word, but to really like set this platform where we can share our ideas, right? Where he can be open to me, I can be open at him, and even if we don't agree at all, at least we respect each other.
True.
And then he, of course, apologized for some things he said. I apologize for exploding, because that's not how you react. But the message is that we both reflected, like Julie was saying, and we both came to open up our ideas, even if we don't think the same.
And as you said, it's also about kind of raising awareness. That's what's really important here. And just sharing different perspectives as well. So
exactly. Raising awareness with others, but also raising awareness for you, right? Like what maybe you need to improve, and what maybe you need to do and learn. So now, before I explode, I always count to 3 and I say, okay, I have some ideas that I want to pitch here, both at work, both at
But that's super. That's
That's really good, because it's also self-reflection on what's happening, and also how you're feeling and why you're feeling this kind of things. And so I do feel like it's very important to keep in mind in general in life.
Yeah.
And Julie, do you have any actionable steps for young women that you could share?
Yeah, and actually I got really triggered by Lara's story. So I'm going to make one statement, and I hope all the female listeners listening to this will actually do this as well. So you're studying right now, but when you apply for a job, I make it mandatory for you to negotiate your salary. Negotiate, absolutely, do it. I've been in recruitment as one of my side hustles during student time, and you will never, ever lose a job by negotiating for a better salary. So do it. And I think lots of women don't do it. I challenged all of my friends leaving university to do it. I was like, you're absolutely doing this. And it helped them so much. And actually, there's across any industry, there's still really big, pay gap. So if you're listening, please do this. If you have trouble, you can send me a ping on LinkedIn, but do it really, because it's going to make such a difference. True. If you start, so way behind early. Your peers, you're never going to be able to catch up. So you need to do it from the beginning, and it's going to be tough, but do it.
Yeah. And remove all those ideas that you have when you apply for a role, like, I'm not qualified, so if they're hiring me, thanks God they are hiring me. So I cannot ask for more money because I'm not qualified and they're already hiring me. No, if you are hired, you are qualified and you are
right
to ask for to negotiate.
Actually, I would be impressed if people come to negotiate. I'm like, yes, you know your value.
Yeah, exactly.
Come and get it.
So let's take some negotiation courses just to make sure that we do it right.
Do it.
Or call
Make
Julie.
yourself do it. Call Julie. Call Julie. I'm happy to do
Actually,
it. Yeah. And then the last thing is open your mind to the tech industry, because it's really fun. And I feel a lot of people find it scary.
From the name,
exactly.
Especially.
But you can see Leila and I are really fun. We don't.
I'm a half biologist. I work for Microsoft, so.
No, but really, because we need more women. We need more people from everywhere, right? So we'd love to have people apply for internships and that kind of stuff.
Thank you for this inspiring message. Thank you very much.
And I actually have a question for you, Leila. So you operated with Microsoft Aspire program.
Yeah.
And so
also Julie, by the way.
Oh yeah, both of you guys.
No, I wasn't part of it.
I know. No, I bet.
Oh, well then this question is directly
directly
to you. So I was just curious, what characteristics does Microsoft look for in new talent? And are there any tips for female listeners?
Yeah, so to give you a bit of context, the Aspire program is the traineeship program that we have at Microsoft. And it's a 2 years program where basically Microsoft invests on your development and invests on your training, right? So they try to take a bit of business pressure from your shoulders, and maybe they, for example, if you are a salesperson, they take the quota from you, so you can focus on your learning and development. So I would definitely recommend someone starting from there, because it's a really nice way to land smoothly in the company. You are not just thrown to a role in a huge company that it's super complex, but you are kind of starting slow training, having some personal development, having some professional development, and 2 years after, you land a full-time employee role at Microsoft. I think they look for people that they don't want someone that already knows it all. We call it learn it all, right? It's one of the Microsoft pillars. We don't want someone that already qualifies for everything in the role description. We want someone that is curious. We want someone that is really pushing herself, adaptable. Exactly. So if you have passion for the tech industry, and even if you have a tech background or you don't have a tech background, it doesn't matter. Just go for it, because there are so many roles, like very diverse roles. Just Julia and I are 2 examples, right? We have completely different accountabilities, completely different markets, completely different backgrounds, and we have many examples in the company. So I would say I fully recommend to apply for the program, and I would say that if you are a curious person who has passion for the tech industry and are ready to start a really high-paced company and are ready to learn new things and be part of the new waves that are coming in AI and everything, I think it's a really, really nice program to have.
So I also wanted to ask a follow-up. You said, Julie, that you weren't part of the Microsoft Aspire program, but I was interested, during your time here at Erasmus, were you a part of, for example, Women's Business Network? Or did you leverage any other opportunities similar to Women's Business Network to kind of educate yourself? And
yes, I love all of these things. I was part of way of too many of these associations.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I
We love
loved learning and coming to the sessions also of other organizations, right, like yours, attending those lectures. So I did a board year for psychology students
Oh,
all across the Netherlands. So overseeing all universities. Really loved that part as well. I learned a lot during that year. I did so many, I cannot remember all of them. But I definitely, do those committees at university, but also make sure you get the work experience outside of university. I think those two are the perfect combination.
okay. I really like when you're giving out advice because I really find it inspiring. And I wanted to introduce our mentorship roulette.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is something we had planned out. We didn't share it with you guys, so I thought it would be a little bit more interesting like this.
Surprise.
So the concept is about giving you different scenarios and asking for your mentorship advice on them. Your manager doesn't take your ideas seriously. What do you do? That's very
Who
spontaneous.
wants to take it first? Shall I go?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, good. So manager doesn't take my ID seriously. Then I would ask lots of questions. So, because if I have an ID, there's got to be an objective to it, right? Like a business goal, an outcome we're trying to drive. So if my ID is not a good idea, then I would say, okay, so what are your IDs? What is not good about the ID? Give me your feedback, give me your insights. And then how do you think we could approach this differently if we're solving a problem, right? If the ID is not the right one, I'm open to, new IDs, but then I would make them part of the problem. We need to fix it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good one.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good one, actually. And the manager plays, I think, at Microsoft at least, because I cannot talk about other company, but I think your manager is 80% of your role. So building a good relationship with your manager is crucial. If you don't have a good relationship, it's not going to be a good situation. So I would take a step back in the sense of, okay, I don't think the problem is him or her taking my ideas seriously. There might be something there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would address the elephant in the room and tell him or her, like, hey, I feel that lately in the last months or since we started this relationship, you didn't take my idea seriously. What's going on? How can I improve that? Where is the place that this relationship is not working? What are you missing from me to give you good ideas? And how I can make you successful and how can you make me successful, right? So not tag or not go directly to the ideas, but take the broader problem and see how he or she sees it and try to build a relationship from there. So the rest can come more naturally.
Okay.
That's really important not to get disencouraged, but try to find that solution.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
find it
professional.
together with them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes,
And
it's a
my
collaboration.
Exactly. My mentor always told me, don't take things personally and don't think that they come in a bad way. So don't think that someone is not taking your ideas seriously because they mean it in a bad way. So don't think that they are doing it in a bad way. Always feel that they are trying to help or they are trying to, maybe it was not the right way to frame it, but they are trying to help you. And don't take it personally, because if you take it personally, like me, you are going to explode in the metro at 3 o'clock in the morning. Exactly.
But I think that's a super good note, right? They're trying to help, and sometimes people, from their best intention, trace it in the wrong way. Yeah.
Well, that's very true. And maybe we could ask one last question from the roulette. So you're offered a job at a company that doesn't have many women in leadership roles. Do you take it? So that's a bit your whole career life. It was always very challenging in that sense. So how could you approach it?
I think also based on your mentors that you shared and your upbringing, we kind of know what you're gonna say.
Yeah,
I think, I
You
think
go first.
it could be our task to plant the seeds that they planted in us, go to the company and plant those seeds.
Yes,
Someone
go
needs
for
to
it.
start the change. And of course, again, in a very constructive way, bringing the value, explaining why a diverse team is going to bring more value than just same
Sided.
exactly same gender or not only women, to be honest, every background. So that should be the first step, to really make sure that they understand the value of it. It's not me saying it, women should be there, but it's actually, again, data points and everything bringing it. And maybe not only in the professional environment, but creating this kind of communities like we had at Microsoft, the ERGs, we call it the Employee Resource Group, where you really create a community where people share the same passion and you work towards the same topic. So in this specific example would be gender equality. So creating those communities where people can share their thoughts and really start building things to achieve the goal. Not sure what you think, Julie. Challenge me there.
No, I love that. I love the communities. It's so important, even if you start small. And then I think a second to that, I would say it's going to be very cheesy, but be the change you want to see, right? Go for it.
True.
Bring more women along. I'm referring people left and right to bring them in because I feel they have such good potential to join the tech industry. So
Become the role model.
exactly.
Be the
Be
action
Julie's
taker,
mom. Be Julie's mom.
Or Lyra's
Or
mom.
your mom also.
Lyra's mom.
So actually, let's talk about workplace dynamics and leadership. So being one of the few women in a room can present its own unique challenges, as we've talked about. So how do you both handle workplace dynamics in those situations, and how can women navigate leadership roles in such environments?
Yeah, so I think, especially in security, it's a very in technology, it's generally a male-dominated field, but security, I think it's a bit more extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So just to give an example, I had a speaking engagement a couple of weeks ago. I was the presenter, but there were no women in the room, and it was 200 people. So actually, I really got used to being the only woman in business conversations and being part of that. So I think it's very important to become comfortable with it as well. I really realized, like, when I go into these meetings, I don't notice anymore, actually, most of the time. And that's also because I have such great ally colleagues, like male, who really support me, right? And they make me feel comfortable. And I think that's really important. But, maybe you do get in a situation where it's different. Speak up. And then again, like I said before, if you don't feel comfortable at that moment, then make sure you find that person, at Microsoft, like I have Lyra, you can speak to and in confidence discuss, how should I approach this next time.
Nice. I fully echo what Julie says, of course. And I feel there is a very thin line between, okay, I fully agree with you that we don't have to overthink that we are the only women in the room and we just go for it and you are the speaker at that event and you jump into the swimming pool, like we say in Spanish. But at the same time, I think that it's really crucial to raise awareness that you are the only woman in the room and that should not be the case anywhere. And you also mentioned a really interesting point that it's about the speaking up. Sometimes you feel like you can do it, right? And sometimes you don't feel that you are not so comfortable to do it. And even more when you are in early career. Where you are in early career, maybe you don't build that confidence yet, you don't have this support system that really encourages you to speak up. And here, personally, again, like Julia, I have been really fortunate to have several people around me, mentors, I would say, both men and women, that had really inspired me and guided me there. They provide with me really valuable advice and really support and encouragement that really play a significant role in the situations where these workplace dynamics that you were discussing were not necessarily comfortable, right? And whether they were speaking up themselves for me or coaching me on how to do it myself was really crucial. And again, if they coach you, take that coaching to the next generation, right?
Yes.
And really coach them on how they can be more comfortable speaking up, when they should be speaking up, how they should do it. And for that, you need to build strong relationships again with people around you and finding allies who really support you and amplify your voice, right, where you really need it. When people have role models, if you think about it, and mentors and however you want to call it, supportive communities, like we were saying before, they can climb with confidence because really knowing that others did the same path, knowing that others worked the same path is going to make them more comfortable, right? If I see Julia speaking up in a 200 people event, all men, I'm like, Julie did it. I can do it as well. She did it already. I can do it as well, right? So make sure that you act like one of those role models.
True.
And make sure that you act like those, people that open the doors for you. Julie's mom, my mom, you, everyone.
So get inspired by others, but also inspire others. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's very thank you very much for those words, because it's always so nice to reflect also on our personal lives, because we're so young and it's really helpful to understand all of those dynamics, and yeah, it's really beautiful. Thank you so much.
Definitely. And also, we were really interested about your perspective on how could the tech industry as a whole become more diverse and inclusive regarding these matters.
Ooh, do we have 2 hours?
maybe in a few points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, what unique perspectives do you think women bring into tech industry?
True.
I think Laila, you go first.
I go first with the first question if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
So say it again, please. The first question.
So how can the tech industry as a whole work toward better diversity and inclusion?
Okay, so one of the things I would say is representation. If you want to be more inclusive and diverse, you need to make sure that everyone is represented across all the levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if you have everyone represented in the field, but then you go to senior leadership and there is no representation. The change is not going to be seen, and it's not going to be inclusive and diverse. So I would say that make sure that everyone is represented in every levels of the organization is one, and be aware of what you need to unlearn and what you need to learn, right? What are the gender roles that we say that are established and we need to disestablish, and where we are today and where we have to go, and what are the steps that we have to take to reach that goal. It's a very general answer, but it's a very huge industry. So I think that every company and every industry have their own path, but that's what I would say. Be aware of what you need to learn and unlearn, and make sure that everyone is represented to have the diversest team that you can have.
Yeah. And maybe, Julie, you could take the second question then.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah, of course. So what unique perspectives do you think women bring to a tech company?
Ooh, so many as well. I mean both men and women, right? I think it's so unique to every person. I find it difficult to say if I could say, you know, a woman brings something different. I do think it's really important that you have the right balance between a woman and men, because we do come with different backgrounds. We do come with different stories. We do come with, you know, different biology and all of that. So I do think absolutely there should be unique perspective. And for me, it's actually a no-brainer. Why would you not have women in your company?
Yeah.
They're huge assets.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's not even about the unique perspective. It's about the enormous talented women that are out there, and they have so many perspectives to provide. Yeah.
Well, do you think the workplace dynamic has changed now from when you guys started off early on in the career, and let's say now that you've already established? Do you think there's been a shift, or is there still a lot of improvement that needs to be made?
There's a huge focus on it. That's what I really appreciate about the company we work for. They continue to focus on this and make sure that the teams are diverse where they are able to hire the right people. And I think it's a long work to be done, right?
Yes.
And there's progress. It's slow progress, but I really believe if we make that a little 1% every day, we'll get really far.
If we build up the first
So it's true that we need to celebrate
the base of the
successes.
house, then we can build the house.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that.
Exactly. And we're still in the very, very low pillars of the house. Yes. And it's good that we need to celebrate that we established
At least
the
we have,
pillars, and
we have
need
the
to
pillars.
celebrate that we have the ground floor.
The foundation is there,
The
but
foundation
still
is
the
there.
house needs to be built.
It's a 180 floors house. And we're still in the ground floor.
Okay, we're
So
talking about a
imagine-
building.
We're talking Grand Hotel.
So we have still a lot of work to do, not only at Microsoft, in every company in the world, not only in the
True.
Netherlands, in
Yeah, that's
Spain,
very
in
true.
France, in Mexico. Like, you still hear all these crazy things in the news every day, right? So the long path is still there. But at the same time, I know, like Julie said, the focus is there. The priorities are being reset. And every day we see more and more focus. Every day we see more and more representation. So hopefully this opens to the rest of the industry and the rest of countries, and we can really see the change.
There's a bigger consciousness about this topic and how we can try to achieve a smaller gap between genders.
Yeah, and both of you guys mentioned how you're thankful that Microsoft is very diverse and inclusive, and of course there's work to be made. But do you have any examples of maybe certain programs within Microsoft that kind of help you grow professionally and, well, specifically for women?
Yeah, absolutely. So, shall I do the example of the Women in Cyber program? Cool. So I think we have programs internally. So for women in Microsoft to scale and develop. Also, of course, for our male colleagues. But there's specific focus, especially on women as well. And then one program I'm running together with some colleagues is a Women in Cybersecurity Skilling program, where we invite a women all across the Netherlands of minority backgrounds who don't have a background in IT to actually become skilled in IT. Because they maybe want to make a career switch, or they come fresh out of university, they want to do something different. So we did this program last year. This year we're running it again, and we hope many of them will land jobs again. We had some great results last year, and I think that's an effort we're trying to make. And what I love about Microsoft is I got some free days to actually put my time and effort into this to make sure it really runs. We get those women, we help them land a job and bring them into the industry, because especially in security, we have a huge skilling gap.
Yeah.
We need more people. Anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone, please.
So for the listeners at home, right?
Exactly.
Reach out to Julie.
Reach out. But I love, and I love that Microsoft gave me that time, right? And invested that so we could arrange this program and get more people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
So
I think
sorry.
just to build on what Julie said, like this is, I think, one of the biggest programs that we can call it a success to bridge this gap. But if you change organization, so Julie is talking about security, if you go to partners organization, for example, they have another program to increase the visibility of women in partners. It's called Partner in Tech Awards, something like that, Women in Tech Awards. If you go to another organization, internally we will call it CSU, EastU. What I mean is every organization has a program to make these people grow, and it can be women or it can be early in profession. Like there are different programs to reach different audiences and to really develop those audiences. So basically, it's a career playground. You choose your industry, you choose your community, you choose where you want to grow, and you choose a program where you really fit and grow.
So it's really about, so the opportunities are there. So it's also really about taking that step, not being scared to kind of anxious to take that first step, and just being an action taker.
Yeah.
So that's the last section of the podcast. And we wanted to ask you what inspires you to keep pushing boundaries in your career, and how can young women find inspiration in their own journeys?
I love the question.
I love the question. but
I
it's a
also
hard
love
one.
it. Can't wait for the answer.
Inspire the younger generation sounds huge to me, like inspire a new whole generation. But I feel that, again, there are two sides of the coin here, right? Like what inspires me to keep really pushing my boundaries and in my career is that I really feel that there is continuous improvement and work to do, right? We were saying that there is still work to do in the gender role, but this also applies to my professional career, for example. We're very lucky to be in an industry or in an environment that is extremely dynamic. And change, we always say that change is the only constant, and it's always change going on every month, every day, every week, every quarter, every fiscal year. And there are always new products and new trends and something that we need to learn, right? So all this makes me want to be part of the next wave and really push my boundaries to grow at the same level and the same speed that everything is moving. And personally, it happens actually the same with different topics. But just to focus on the topic that we have been discussing today, if I still feel that there is so much work to do, and regarding equality or regarding other topic, I will keep pushing myself to learn more about the topic, read these books, and really raise awareness with others and raise awareness for myself and learn what I have to do. So again, we have an incredibly long way to go still and many homework that we need to do before we can confidently say that we live in a gender equal world here in the Netherlands, but again in all these countries. But seeing the potential and everything that we can do, really push myself to keep working both professionally, personally, and I hope that for young generations, also they can find something that truly excites them, really makes them energized and makes them like really engaged, and just embrace that with curiosity, even if it means that you really need to go out of your comfort zone, that you go there and you build a strong support network, you surround yourself of these mentors, and allies that would encourage you to really aim high and help you navigate those challenges, right? And it can sound a really Instagram quote, what I would say, but I really think that this is how like you should tackle it. And of course, again, we need to also celebrate the small victories, right? Like my mentor says as well, progress is not always linear. He says that it's a Christmas tree, so it goes left, right, until you actually reach the goal. So again, there are setbacks as part of the journey, and each of these lessons or if each of these setbacks really is going to build resilience and really, in the end, find that inspiration to achieve that goal. Maybe it sounds a bit cheesy on Instagram, but I really believe that it's this way.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
I love the Christmas tree example.
Yeah, actually, it's
Right?
very original.
Yeah, I've never heard that one before.
No, me neither.
I love that. And also what you said about surrounding yourself with people, right? I think it's so important. And when you start your career, but also already right now when you're a student, right? I mean, reach out to people to get you that coaching and that help. And you can become so inspired by the people around you. And if I take an example, for example, Leire, she's a really good public speaker. So identify those things you feel like you want to grow on, and then find the people who have those skills and ask them to support you. So Leire, I'll be reaching out. But from my perspective, I think pushing boundaries is a lot of fun. I really like it, but I also have a question to all three of you actually. Are any of you skiers?
Skiers.
I love
Like you
this
mean
story.
the sports?
Say yes
Yeah,
because
the
you're going to
sports.
love
Oh
the
yeah,
story.
yeah. I do love skiing.
You
I
love skiing?
love
I'm actually
that.
really embarrassed because I'm from Finland, so skiing should be a big part of my life, but it really is not.
No
I've always been into football, so it's a very
wow.
summery person, but
So no skiing for you.
unfortunately not. But I'm still very interested in the story.
Okay. So when I got this question from you, I was reflecting on it, and I thought actually, when you go skiing and you're a beginner, you start on the blue piece, right? Like the easy ones.
Yeah.
I haven't gone past that.
Okay. You haven't gone past it. You haven't gone past it. So once you've been on those blue piece, you go to the red ones, and then you're like shitting your pants.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck.
Yes.
This is crazy. Like
I relate.
right?
Oh my God.
What am I doing on this red piece? And then once you go to the black piece, which is like the really, really tough one, then you're
You just
absolutely
go.
shitting your pants. You're like, why did I ever sign up for this? Like, can I go back? No, you can't. You have to go down.
Yeah.
And then after that, if you take the red piece again, suddenly it's like a breeze. You're like,
Yeah,
wow,
actually.
this is so easy.
So easy.
It's so easy. And I think for me with work, it's the same. When you push your boundaries, it's not fun. It's not always going to be fun.
No.
When you get out of your comfort zone, and you should push yourself to do that, sometimes you will be there and you will be actually thinking like, oh my God,
it.
Julie, why did I sign up for this? Why?
Yeah, but then it's a relief. You're telling yourself, oh my God, I just achieved that. It's such
Exactly.
an incredible thing.
You did it. And then
Yeah.
the next time it's going to be easier. And I think what I want to say here is maybe from the external perspective, it can seem really easy, like people doing these big keynotes and then like really going fast in their career. But trust me, they've been shitting their pants along the way. But it will become easier. And I think practice makes perfect, right? So
True.
push those boundaries also when they feel uncomfortable, and they will start feeling comfortable in the end.
It's not being scared of failure, because failure can
Exactly.
actually build you like even stronger. So
Exactly.
just go for it.
And if you fail, you learn from it.
Yeah. And if
sometimes it's not even failure because
yeah,
you feel like
sometimes you're
you're scared of failure. Like how is, I don't know, not going in the red piece is a very easy example. A failure. No, you fall,
and then
stand up.
you get back up.
Exactly. Same in
Yeah.
the keynote. What happens if you, I don't know, you stumble for a couple of times? It doesn't matter. You go to the next keynote and you prove everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. And personal growth can only happen when you push these boundaries.
True.
And are you really pushing these boundaries if whatever
staying
you're
doing
doing
the same
doesn't feel
thing?
scary?
Yeah.
So it has to feel scary first
Mm-hmm.
to be considered pushing your boundaries as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think this is a great message for the students actually.
Mm.
When you are thinking about your next career move, when you are thinking about this internship,
Yes.
just go to the black piste.
True.
Go
for
there.
it.
Start with the blue one.
Yeah, maybe.
you've never
Don't
skied
break your
before.
don't break your arm. Well, that was a very inspiring podcast. What we could remember from that is that push your boundaries, go for it. Don't hesitate to learn more about what's surrounding you, learn more about others, try to understand others, and try to, break the gap between genders in the workplace. So those were really inspiring words. We really thank you so much for coming here and sharing all of your experience with us. That was truly, truly inspiring. You're becoming our mentors also in that way.
Yeah.
And do you want to add a final note?
I mean, we just really hope that our listeners will also feel more inspired after watching this podcast to pursue their own goals and connect with networks such as Women's Business Network and Erasmus Tech Community. And others as well, as long as we talked about, as long as you're growing, pushing your boundaries, that's
Learn
really
more,
all that matters,
gain
right?
experience in so many different things.
And progress can be fast and slow, but as long as you're moving forward, you will reach whatever goals you have in life. So.
Yes.
Thank you so much, guys. And
Do
you
not-
say
yeah?
you say that Julia and I inspire, and Julia and I are so impressed what we're doing here.
Incredibly.
Looking back to our student, I know that Julie was an amazing student. I was going out of university and not really engaged in this community, so it really impressed me what you are doing here, guys.
Thank
really
you so
great job.
much. Thank you. Do not forget to subscribe to our social media, WBN and ETC.
Yeah.
Check out the podcast that we made with WBN and the YouTube of ETC.
Yeah. Thank you for listeing. And
Thank you so
remember
much.
that the next generation of women in tech and business starts with you guys.
Yes.
So see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to
Bye.
hug your moms.
Yes. Wait, let me try to figure out. Yeah.
How
That
long
was-
was that?
1 hour.
Wow.
1 hour?
Yeah.
That felt so quick.
Yeah. It was so inspiring.
Especially because we had so many yappers.
Actually, yeah.
It was the CEO of a partner.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, okay.
The CEO of
Okay.
a partner was from my previous role at Microsoft. Yeah.
We should have said that in the interview.
No.